In this video, I will show you how to come up with grammar for your conlang. Grammar is a tricky part of conlanging. A big mistake a lot of people make is they make their conlang's grammar just like the grammar of their native language. And sometimes people go too crazy with their grammar and include things that aren't realistic. But where is the line between too much like my native language and too unrealistic? And what grammar is there that you can include in your conlang? When I make my conlangs, I generally think about 8 things: case, gender, person, aspect, tense, mood, articles, and plurality. In my video, I'm going to go through these one by one and explain what they are and how you should apply them to your conlang. Case is how a noun is being used in the sentence. Nominative case is if it's the one performing the action. Accusative case is if it's the one getting the action done to it. Dative case is if it's being done for something or to something. Genitive is if it has a connection to something. Ablative is if it's coming from something. Locative is if you're telling someone to do something. And instrumental is if you're saying it is done with something or you're using something to do it. Languages don't have all the cases, so you'll need to choose which cases you're going to have. Gender marks every single noun. For example, the word on the left ends with an O, so it's a male gender, and the word on the right ends with an A, so it's a female gender. A lot of the time, the adjective has to agree in gender with the noun. Genders aren't always based off of male and female. Sometimes there's a neuter gender for if the thing is neither male nor female. And genders can be based off of other things, such as a very common thing is whether the object is animate or inanimate. Lots of languages don't even have gender, but if you do decide to include gender, languages that do have gender normally have very few, like 2 or 3. Person marking is when you attach a pronoun to the verb. For example, this would be the sentences "you go" and "I go" in one word. In some languages, like English, you have to always say the pronouns. In some languages, you can choose between saying the pronouns or not, and in some languages, you have to not say the pronouns. You can also put gender marking on the noun, but it's rare. Tense is when the event happened relative to the present time. Lots of languages just mark past, present, and future, but some have less tenses, like English, just past and non-past. And some languages have more than just past, present, and future. And also, lots of languages, like Chinese, don't even have tense. Aspect is when the event happened relative to the action being done. There's perfect, where the event is the entire action. There's imperfect, where the event is just part of the action. Prospective, where the event comes before the action. And terminative, where the event comes after the action. There's also habitual, where the event is part of a repeating action. Most languages that have aspect have tense, but some languages that have aspect don't have tense. Mood is how the speaker feels about the action. Indicative is when they believe in it. Subjunctive is when they doubt it. Conditional is if they believe in it, but only under certain circumstances. Optative is if they want it to be true, but doubt it. Imperative is if you're telling someone to do something. Jussive is if you're telling a third person to do something. Potential is if it has a lot of possibility that it will happen. Presumptive is if it has a lot of probability that it won't happen. Hypothetical is if it could have happened, but it didn't. Inferential is if you didn't see the action firsthand. And interrogative is if you're asking a question. Articles don't need much explaining. They're basically just a and the in English. You use the definite article to show that it could be replaced by a pronoun, and the indefinite article to show that it couldn't be replaced by a pronoun. Plurality is marking how many of something there are. In English, we just have single and plural, but some languages can have a dual that marks 2 of something. You can even go further and add a triple, but some languages don't have tone. Please like and subscribe and email me at catelity@outlook.com. I will have links to where I learned all this stuff in the description. And also, click the video on the screen.